Yeah, so this is going to be the latest addition to my Armory series, and also a beginner guide on meds. All the meds you're going to need in the game. So there's various different ailments and so forth that you can acquire in game, and those are going to be heavy bleed, light bleed, fractures, just raw damage, so like taking hits to your health point, and then also blacked out limbs. And then there's also going to be pain, and pain can be deterred through painkillers, um, as one might imagine. So these are all the ailments, and then you're going to need to have meds consistently throughout the game, and you're going to have access to better meds as you progress through like the trader levels and so forth. So just starting out, the meds you're going to need to run are going to be S-mark tourniquets. I would run about 3. These are for heavy bleeding. The main reason why you want 3 is if you get a heavy bleed and you can't stop it, you're going to bleed out and die. It's like there's virtually, unless you're right by the extract, and even then there's no way you're going to make it out of the raid alive. So you're going to want to have 3 of these. They're really cheap. They only cost about 2,500 each, I think. So I mean, to run 3 is like less than, it's like about like 6 or 7k is what it is. So you're going to want to run 3 of these, and what you're going to do is you're going to bind them on I do 4. You're gonna, and then just starting out, I even did 4 and 5, and then I had the light bleed bandages on 6. And so anytime you get a heavy bleed, or you don't even know if you have a heavy bleed, you just know you got fucked up. Immediately what you're gonna do is you're gonna get behind cover and you're going to spam the 4 button, because heavy bleed does so much damage that you just need to make it stop immediately. And then as soon as that's off 4, you're gonna go back to your inventory and you're gonna rebind it, or you're gonna have it as 5. But I have 5 on painkiller, which is really important, and I'll get to that in a moment. But so 3 heavy bleed tourniquets, 2 light bleed bandages, very important. And then so your light bleed is going to be binded on 6. So light bleeds aren't that important to remove immediately, but they hurt, and they will eventually kill you if you can't stop them. You literally have to heal constantly until you can make it out, and you're in a really bad spot. Okay, and so then the next thing you're going to want to have is 2 splints. These cost about 2k each. The reason why is if you break your legs and you don't have painkillers, you're going to be walking at a snail's pace for the rest of the game, which is really frustrating. So ideally you would want 5, which is what you'll have access to eventually. It's like a 1 slot 5 use splint, but before that point you're gonna have to run like 2 of these, and if you really don't want to be limping home, you might run 3, but I always ran 2. And then so then in terms of the painkillers that you're going to start out with, they're going to be these. They're going to cost you about 6k. They take 3 seconds to use, which is decent. So it's smart to have it as like bind it as 5 if you're not going to be running them in your secure container, just like save money. The reason why is I'll get to I'll elaborate more in a second, but if you get in a bad spot, you can pop one of these and be in a much better state. But so that's going to be the painkiller you're going to run starting out. Ideally, what you're going to have is you're going to have a golden star or an ibuprofen hanging out in your secure container at all times, and the reason why is because these last much longer than the starting out painkillers you get. You'll see the duration is 80 seconds. The golden star is going to be 400 seconds, and the ibuprofen is going to be 280 seconds. So that's substantially longer, and you'll see each time you use them, they'll either hurt hydration or energy. So if you have to use a bunch of painkillers to walk out because you didn't have enough splints, you're going to die of dehydration at some point. Whereas because you have to use like 4 or 5 of these just to get out. Whereas with the golden star and the ibuprofen, you'll have to use 1 or 2, which will help you out a lot on that. But you won't get those until like a little bit later on. So that's going to be ideal. And then the next one is going to be blacked out limbs. So whenever your like say your right arm or your right leg see they have 60 health points, 60 out of 60 and 65 out of 65. Whenever they go to 0, now that leg is blacked out, and that does several things. It essentially acts like if you fractured your leg, you're going to be slow walking unless you're on painkillers. And one thing in particular is your stomach. If your stomach gets blacked out, your hydration and your energy will just plummet. So you will like die of dehydration really really fast. So it's really really important that you have a CMS kit. Otherwise, your raid just like got a 2-minute timer. You got to get out of there. So these are really important. The CMS kit is what everyone tends to use because they only take up 2 slots. But they take longer. They take 16 seconds, and after you heal them, your health will be less than if you use the Serve 12 kit. Don't have one, so I'm gonna buy one really quick so I can show y'all. Serve 12, bam, and this will have 15 uses as opposed to 5. And this, generally speaking, is better, but it takes up 3 slots, and like you can't even fit it in a standard account secure container, so most people don't use it. Is why, but they are better. And then, right, so we went over the meds you're going to be using starting out. So you're gonna have a tourniquet on 4, bandage on 6, and then like maybe a painkiller on 5. After you start unlocking things in the traders, you're going to get this 3-use heavy bleed hemostatic applicator. So this gets rid of your heavy bleeds and has three stacks. So that's what I have on 4. Replacing the tourniquets, and then instead of having like these painkillers, I'll run a Propital on 5, so that way if I get into trouble and someone shoots my legs and I really need to get out of trouble, I can spam 5 and use this in 2 seconds, and all of a sudden I'm able to run. Or like say I gotta like jump down from the 2-story building. Well, I'll never break my legs, but if I slam a Propital, I'll still be able to run and get into like an advantageous position. So that's why that's really really good. And you can replace those with morphines. Just starting out, you'll wanna hold on to these for your quests. But after that, morphine is about 5k less, and it essentially does the same thing as a 2-second use time. The only reason why you'd want to use Propital instead for about 5k more is it heals. It has a heal that could be up to like 7 health per second, which is really really nice. The only thing about the Propital is after you use it, about like 3 minutes or so after you use it, you'll start getting this tunnel effect where like your screen will get dark around its edges for like in like a pulsation thing, which is like it's not ideal, but it's not so bad that like you can't play, so don't sweat about that. But and so hemostat on 4, Propital on 5, bandage on 6, and then if I don't run a first aid kit in my secure container, I'll have that on 7, or I'll replace the light bandage with it and I'll run it as 6. The reason why is because it doesn't take that much HP to heal light bleeds with your first aid kits. Some do, some don't. But with the heavy bleeds, it'll just completely demolish it. So it'll take 210 HP. If I stop 1 heavy bleed with this, I would be left with 32 health points on that. So that's why I would still run the hemostat. Let's see if there's anything else I can go over. That's about it. In terms of running things in your secure container, say you only have a standard account and you only have the 4 slots, you're really going to run. You're going to want to run like a high quality painkiller as soon as you get one in your secure container, and ideally maybe like a 5-slot splint, and then like a CMS kit. And then like say you got like a docs kit or something like that, you would probably replace the CMS kit with the docs kit, just because at some point you'd be making more money with all the stuff you can put in a docs kit. So that's pretty much how I would do that. And in general, you're just going to be wanting to run as many meds as you can that don't need to be in your rig, so that they can be binded. And oh yeah, by the way, how you bind them is you mouse over them and press 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 0, and then that will bind them. And then you can also click and drag them down here, and so that's how you do that. But yeah, so ideally you're just gonna want to run long-lasting meds that cost a substantial amount in your secure container, and then all the ones that you need on hotkey, you're just going to run at the risk of losing them whenever you die, and you're just not going to be worried about it because they're worth it to have. And so that's pretty much the power of meds, and all the meds I use in my armory. Let's see. Oh, another thing. So the med kits I usually use is I typically run an AFAC, which has 400 health points or healing points, however you want to say it, or an IFAC in my secure container, because they only take up one slot and they're really solid. And then say I use it once or twice, then I'll run it in my rig or my pockets like this, and I'll have it as like 7 or 6. And I won't be too worried about losing that one, and then I'll just use the space for like ammunition or something like that, maybe like a key tool, all that good stuff. But yeah, so that pretty much wraps up the Armory series on the meds. They're very, very important. Make sure you run them. They will save your life more than once, I assure you that. But yeah, that's about everything, and I'll catch you on the next one.